Welcome to the OPSC study. So here we are to discuss the previous year questions of OPSC. So we'll be discussing one by one all the questions, and we'll be giving a basic. We'll be discussing the basic framework of how should we be writing the question and what should be your approach in writing that questions. And here the basic purpose is just to make you sure, like if a particular kind of a question is coming, so what dimensions and what particular aspect that you should be touching at. So this is the paper one discussion, okay? And yeah, let's begin it. So the first question which talks about is asking, like, is sociology as an interpretative discipline. So what should be your basic framework when you are writing a question in regard with this is basically like, first you should be understanding like why this interpretative discipline came up in the first place, right? So it was basically a micro study of sociology which uh, focuses on the interpretative discipline. You might be knowing that there was Karl Marx and Durkheim and all. They were all talking about the macro aspects of the sociology, like suppose society. They were considering it, and this was more specific in regard with the economic base that Marx was talking about. And then Weber comes up and says, "No, I mean, okay, I mean, this can be one aspect of what you are understanding the society, like economy can be one base structure, okay, that can be, but there are other structures also which makes the society function." So he basically focuses on the individual motivation, right, which is the basic, or which is the um, thing which makes the society function, right? So how you will be writing it is basically like, this was a brief you'll be going on a brief description of like writing what is interpretative discipline, right? And before that you can just give a brief. No, okay, you can just start with a, what is the definition given by the Weber. Right, like he comes up and says that individual has a voluntary will and his thought that cannot be understood simply in terms of an external influence, right? So it is basically attached by the individual to their actions, and understanding those meanings can only help in explaining the cause and the effects that a particular action of an individual is been played. So give a basic definition what Weber wants to say or is saying about it, right? Then give a brief background of the emergence of this discipline, right? Like it was a discipline which came up not against, but in aspect to the economic theme or the economic structure that Marx was talking about, right? And then you can give a critique to it. Between that you can write a body mentioning about what is it overall talking about, right? In the body you can write about the other like what Weber also mentions about the methods by which, right, we can study this. So he mentions about like versatile ideal types and comparative methods, right? So and then in the after that you can write critique, like it is more of subject, it will become more of subjective in nature, right? And then you can conclude it. So this will be your basic framework, like what Weber says, give a brief background of it, small body, critique, and then conclude it, right? So keep it short because it is a 200 word question, and you need to be very specific on what you want to write. Okay, so now let's move to the second question. What it's just like, what is hypothesis, right? So what can be your framework is basically you can write what is it, then give a body, and then conclude it. This is the basic. So what you will be writing is what is it is basically like it is basically a research design, right? So in a research method you use hypothesis as a practice or as a design, right? So what are you doing is like first what we do is like first we choose a topic, right? There is a topic or there is a issue which is going on, and then on that basis you try to make a theory of it. A theory in the sense like you try to make a hypothesis of it. So it is basically based on the previous knowledge that you are having on a particular aspect of it, right? And then what happens that with the help of hypothesis you are trying to assert that previous knowledge of yours, right? And then in this process you try to verify your particular theory, right? So how you are doing it, how you are trying to verify it basically is like when you go for a field study, or there are different like process, or there are different designs when you how you assert this hypothesis is like case study, field study, research, and all that you do. And how you do it, like you basically try to take two three variables and you try to assert them, or you try to prove them. For example, you take suppose um, unemployment and the rate of suicide, right? So suppose these are the two variables, and what you do is like this is a hypothesis. Before this, like there is a theory, like suppose saying not theory, like there is a previous knowledge that suppose we say like with a rate in, with a rate of increase of unemployment, the rate of increase of suicide is also increasing, right? So there is a basic hypothesis also created in regard with it, like suppose yeah this is happening it. So now how you assert it, how you try to prove it is basically like we do with the process of hypothesis. So there is null hypothesis and all that, that is that you don't want to go deep into it. So basically what is it, you just give a brief description, description of what it is, and then in the body you try to write it, write with give more and more of examples in regard with it, so that it will be more substantiated and more answer will be more presentable. Got it? Because it is more of specific in nature. So in the body try to write the contemporary examples of it. I guess that will help. Right? So now let's look at the, you can take also example of like how what is the like suppose a variable of education and a gender, right? So there is a hypothesis built on it, and then you try to verify it, like how you can make it more like a fact and more like a theory, right? So and it should be simple in nature, right? And it should not it should be based on the reasonings also, like how you are, how is this both variables related also. You can't take just random variables and try to prove them, right? So it's basically this only. Now let's move to the third question. What are the social aspects of mass education? So what happened, how you can write how you can approach of this question is basically, see, you remember, right? Weber says that there are three basic powers, or there is basically three basic things which renders or which gives a particular individual or a particular society the power. Like suppose he mentions about class, status, and party. And according to him, he says he like with this three, right? What happens? A particular person's or a particular society's status, or the the execution of power increases, right? So education plays one of the integrative role in order to increase the individual's power. That is what Weber tries to say, right? It is just a tool, or it is just a means to increase the status or increase the power of an individual. And with power, what will happen is like he can try to assert the things, and he can try to make the society work on the basis of what he wants to do, right? So how you can approach is you can give a basic intro of education, right? So here you will be mentioning about the thing, defining defining the education, right? Then you can write about, in the body part you will be writing about the aspects or the different dimensions of mass education and the social aspects of it. So here you can mention about Weber, one aspect of like mass education bringing increasing the status of a particular individual, and how it is happening, and how this will in order increase the power of an individual. Now you can also mention about Margaret Author, how she mentioned like how that is how um, she tries to mention about it and tries to form it in basis of the example of American Revolution. After that aspect, she tries to study the cross-cultural aspect of it, and then she tries to compare it like cross-cultural comparison, and she tries to make it that yes, this mass education in the society was very compulsory in order to make the society more coherent and more um, like unified, right? So this was happening in the America also. And then what else you can mention is like yes, this with the help of mass education, what will happen is basically like the people and the whole society will come in together, and they can be on the same platform, right? So then again, you can also mention the aspect like how what will be happening if there is a in the case of new education policy also, you can give a side example of it. See what happens, like suppose it is a 200 mark question, right? So or if it is also a long question, so what you basically try to do is, first you should be writing a theory, small theory, explaining what is the basic theory of it. Then you try to cover the different dimensions of that particular theory. And how you try to cover the basic dimensions of the theory is basically you will be making the examples work in it, right? And these examples should be more of contemporary, or more of like related to that particular theory. So that makes your answer more presentable, and in that theory only you try to make other thinkers also come into play, like ecological aspects of mass education, right? What can be, and what can be the feminist approach of mass education, and the social, like you are reading or you will be writing about the mass education and the social aspects of it, right? So how mass education will be bringing the social aspect, and in that social, even the feminist also come into play. That like how feminists say is ki, like mass education is nothing but like what they will be doing is they will be like just asserting the gender role or the gender aspect of particular thing, like a particular they will be just asserting the gender roles and the gender theory, right? So think about it, and then try to with the examples you try to cover the different dimensions of that particular theory or that particular topic. That will make your answer more substantiable and more presentable. And this is like in the short questions you just write a small theory, like how I said basic intro. In that you will be just defining what is it, and then in the body you are just covering the different dimensions by giving an examples. Three dimensions, 200 words is like three dimensions, cover it, three aspects, and then conclude it. Yeah, by just mentioning the conclusion is not at all necessary that it should be there, but point is like you should be concluding it, that makes it more in order, the question, right? So this is the thing. Okay, next question is emergence of feminist thought. So what will you be writing in this is basically what is feminism, right? Just a brief definition of it, like suppose a political movement in regard with this sexual inequalities or the gender norms, just a brief one, okay? Then in the body you'll be writing the emergence of it, the debates and the questions in regard with it, right? And then you will be concluding. And in this emergence, this debates, these questions, you will be covering the different aspects and different thinkers in regard with the like the different feminist thinkers, what they talk about it, Anna Oakley, and different other thinkers are also there. I'm forgetting the name right now. Yeah, so you'll be writing all that, and you'll be covering it. Like suppose emergence is like what are the different emergence theories that were built in regard with it. Like suppose there was French Revolution, where there was a talk about the feminist movement, the feminist thought, and then there was industrialization, how that industrialization also impacted the emergence of feminism, right? And then World War One, both the world wars, right? And then in the questions, what are the debates and the questions, basically debates you are covering the different aspects or different thinkers, what they say about it. And the questions you are asking, like what is it about, like they are asking for an equality, right? Like a woman freedom. So now, isn't it a discourse, or isn't it there like a contradictory thing? Like suppose women at one part are asking for equality, and on the other part that should not be, like there cannot be an absence of protection also, right? They want equality also, like, so can it be said like a price of equality in the absence of protection? What is what, or what is in, what is this, what is this, like, or is it this which has been asked for, right? Are the women freedom without damaging the welfare protective apparatus of it, right? So these are the questions, and then you put your argument, right? Quoting it, or you concluding it, saying ki both need to be balanced on a ground and need to be taken care of, kind of a thing. Now in debates you will be covering the different aspects of feminism and the emergence of it with the help of different thinkers. You'll be writing two, three thinkers about what they say about the feminism, right? And how they see the feminist movement in regard with the gender equality, with regard to the liberty, right? And one aspect of it you can cover also about India also. Gender are the feminist, feminism are the emergence of it, and the aspects in regard to the India. So this will be the basic framework. This will give it a holistic answer. This will cover the whole answer of what it talks about. So now let's see the next question. Now this is a long type of a question. Like it says about examine the interplay between the theory and a fact in the development of science. Right. So first, what you will be doing is basically you will be giving a understanding of what theory means, what is fact, and what is the in the body you will be writing what is the aspect, or what how they both help in playing it. So what you can do is like basically you can write a you can form a basic diagram, and based on that you can, it will be easy for you all to explain that particular aspect. Like suppose what we do is basically, it is basically a research, what we are talking over here is basically in, the objective of particular research, right? And what is the objective of particular research is basically like to come up with a particular aspect, a particular aspect of that particular theory or that particular topic. So what you will be doing is, first you will be writing a topic, choosing a topic, right? What you do is, first you choose a topic, then you try to collect the facts in regard with it. For example, for, what we can take is, suppose um, mhm, like suppose particular caste of Banjaras uh, acts or plays the role of security persons, or like the particular role that Banjara people plays in in any city. Like suppose this is a basic topic that you have chosen. So what you will do is basically that topic you have chosen. Now what you will be doing is basically you will be trying to you'll be trying to collect the facts in regard with it, right? And then with these particular facts you will try to interpret, what this theory says, or whatever the facts that I've covered, like now can I be able to relate it, right? So these facts are basically, how you're trying to interrelate it's basically based on the variables that you have considered, like suppose demography, or the business dynamic aspect, or suppose the social aspect of it, right? And then based on these interplay or the interpretation of these facts, you try to come up with a viewpoint, and that is where the formulation of theory happens, right? And then with the formulation of theory, like suppose yes, this particular uh, section of tribe, or this particular tribe plays a certain role in the society. Suppose in when we look at it in economic terms, like suppose we say with the rise in the inflation, the rise in the unemployment also rises. So this is basically a topic, and then you collect the facts. Yes, with the increase of inflation, is the unemployment rising or not? And then what you do is you try to make an interpretation, or you try to interpret these facts, and then you come up with a theory of it. Yes, this is happening, right? So fact is basically an empirical verifiable observation. It is empirical in nature, right? And then how what it does is like basically it can change the basic orientation of particular theory also, right? So if the fact changes, the theory also changes in regard with it. So there is a interrelation in between it. Like suppose we next time we come to and say कि like no, the fact says that ki with the rise in the unemployment, with the rise in the inflation, there is no rise in the unemployment. So what happens, that your theory changes. Why is it not happening? Why? Because maybe of demography, maybe because of social angle, any social angle of it. So what is happening is, based on the facts, are the change in the facts, the orientation of theory also changes. It rejects or it reformulates the theory, right? So facts of science are basically nothing but the product of observation. Whatever you are observing, like how we can draw a flow chart of it, is when we are taking a topic, collecting the facts, interpreting these facts, and then we are coming with the formulation of a theory. So basically nothing but this is basically a signs are the product of observation. They are not random but meaningful, right? They are not random. You can't just go on collecting the facts randomly of something or some variables. First, that's why you need to consider one or choose one topic, and based on that only you will be collecting the facts, right? So this is how you will be trying to address this question. and in between you will be trying to see this is what like what I gave, what I am trying to tell here is basically like what are the theories, what is the fact, and what is the interrelation in between it. Now you will be covering this when you are writing the answer, you will be trying to cover it with different dimensions by examples, right, with the contemporary examples and the thinkers putting in between, right? Like suppose how Weber um, asserts his theory of Protestant ethics and capital and the rise of capitalism, right? It was a fact that Weber comes up with, and then he tries to formulate a theory. Like how Marx also comes up with his theory of alienation or his theory of surplus, right? Surplus value. He tries to correct the facts, and he tries based on that he tries to formulate a theory, right? Or based on theory he tries to make the facts. That doesn't happen. So you will be, there is the interrelation in between both of them. And then how like suppose even the emergence of sociology in itself was nothing but a collection of the facts, like the collection of the facts in the sense like interrelation of the facts, what was happening in the French after the French Revolution, what happened and what was going on. And based on that only Comte, Spencer and all, they try to formulate that no, this is like this is happening because of this, and thereby we need to consider there is a social aspect of it, this particular topic. So you need to come up with different thinkers starting from the ancient or like from the emergence or like previous, and you can also write the contemporary thinkers also. Right, so next we'll be moving on, like what is a brief outline about social changes brought by the industrialization. Right, so what is happening is, you can write a brief a short definition of what is industrialization, right? And then you will be directly jumping into the social aspects and the social changes that a particular industrialization has been causing. What are the causes, or what are the social changes that is been occurred or that is been occurring because of the industrialization. What are this you will be writing in the body aspect, like suppose there is a shift in the occupational categories of it, right? And there is a change in from ascriptive based achievement to division of labor, right? Meritorious things are coming into the play, right? And in this you will be writing, or with this, see, these will be the subtopics, right? You will be defining them with the examples, and in that only you will be putting the thinkers, right? Suppose you're writing about what are the other changes, like suppose if suppose you are writing about the change in the family structure which is happening because of the industrialization, so you can quote over here thinkers in regard with the change in the family structure, how it is happening or how it is not happening, change in the power relation system also, how the power is changing, right? So you here you will be writing the elite, you can write about the elite theories of Musso and Musso, right? Then how the rise of socialism is also coming. I mean, one aspect is also about the rise of socialism also because of industrialization, right? Because of industrialization, more of surplus came up to the industrial or to the certain dominant section of the particular society, and that in order turned or didn't consider the use value of a particular labor, and this in order turned into the alienation, and there was a demand on the rise of the communism, right? So and then so here you can quote about the Marx, right? Change in the power theory, you can quote about different other thinker. Change in the aspects of secularization, right? Here you can come up with the theory, or you can quote Durkheim or other theory. Then ecological aspects also you can cover, and there you can also quote the Indian thinkers also, even that will work. right? Then there are the rise of the skilled jobs and the educational changes that is happening because of that. Fine. And then also like how the rise of bureaucracy or the concept of hierarchy, right? Here you can quote the Weber or um, other thinkers. Then Parson also you can quote in a thinker, like suppose how the functional aspect of a particular society is also changing because of the industrialization. So what are the broad aspect that you will be, so all you will be doing is basically you will be defining what is industrialization. Then in the social changes you will be uh, coming up with different subtopics, right? Division of labor, change in power, change in family, right? Then ascriptive to achievement based, right? Like nothing now is heredity. Like if you're tall, you're born in a rich family, you have to prove that you are talented and all, right? And the demand of skill, new forms of conflict came up, right? Like ask for communism also rised up, right? So this is the thing. Try to put the contemporary examples also, like demand for, you can see now, you can also put the examples of COVID, right? How the industrialization, because of industrialization the society linked itself in uh, with every aspect of it, with every society. And this, in order, what has happened is there is a whole backlog in regard with the rise of a COVID that has happened. And this is happening, and this is also rupturing the economy also of a particular. So this also you can put COVID-19, rise in the demand of the equal wages, right? Rise in the demand of, in the political aspect, rise in the demand of UCC, like Uniform Civil Code, right? So cover different aspect, social, economical, and in that only you will be quoting about the different thinkers, right? Then it will be more presentable and good. Now coming to the next question. It asks about like research design, right? It is a short question, so just brief how I explained up. Nothing. You just need to give a brief description or brief definition of it, right? So what is it? A structure that guides the execution of research methods. So it is basically a part of a research method, right? And priority is given to the different ranges of dimensions, right? And then in the body you will be talking about the different types of it. Like suppose experimental is there, and what are all like suppose okay, experimental is there, then cross sectional is there, yes, and then longitudinal study is there, then case study is there. And just give a brief theory, a brief understanding of what these particular designs are about, right? And then you will be concluding it. So this will be, because in the short question you don't get many uh, aspect of making it understand, so you just stick to the point and stick to the answer. That will make it more easy and more good, right? Then there is a question on alienation, right? Alienation is like a done and dusted thing which is coming every now and then, like in the previous questions also it has come. So yeah, like what you will be writing is basically the brief theory or the brief aspect of what Marxian theory is. Then how you will be relating this but the body is like you can write about, there are different tenets of Marxism, like, and then that one aspect is alienation, right? And in the body you will be trying to write about what is alienation, and how the emergence, or how Marx is talking about the alienation, right? Then you can give a critique of the aspect. No one is criticizing the alienation, but the aspect and how he is trying to make it understandable. And then you can conclude it, right? what, like suppose Marx says na ki like human history is a history of oppression, right? So it was a history of increasing control of a man, right, over nature, and at the same time it was a history of increasing alienation of a man. So quote the definitions, quote the thinkers, then though it becomes more of very nice and like very presentable in nature. Similarly, in the interpretative discipline of sociology, when you are quoting the Weber, you can quote about the theory or the where he mentioned, where is there like the book or the theory where he mentions about it. So that will substantiate your answer very nicely, and it will be like make it more understandable and approachable to that particular thing, and we're like, wow, this is something that particular person is knowing about it, right? Next is features of industrial economy. Again, this is like more or less the similar question of like how social change is happening in regard with the, right? So over here you will be also writing about like mm, features, right? So economic system, what are the features of it? So what are the features of it? Like basically like what is happening in the what is industrialization and what is happening because of the industrial economic system, and what it is like that is making it change or making it considerable and making it functional. So just the body, briefly describing about like what industrialization is, right, and then the features of it, right? So you don't have to dwell, you don't give a like a what do you say, more of um, approach or like more of space to cover, or more of space in the short answer types, because you have to very be sticking to the particular topic and you have to try to write that particular thing only, right? So when we write about social functions of religion, so basically you'll be writing it, what is religion, defining it based on the, you can define it based on the thinker also, like suppose what Durkheim says about the religion, right? And then what are the functions of it, like suppose social change is happening, it acts as an integrative force also, it also acts as a social control aspect. And then like what Malinowski says, it is also uh, thing which makes the like makes the society or like make a person or an individual more comfortable. Like suppose whenever you are in a stress, you go and switch to the religious aspect, right? So then these all things are there, and then you can write about intellectual functioning of it, normative role of it, how it is happening and how what it is making it, right? And then you can also write like it also helps in coming up with a like it acts as like a dialectic, like what you say, like and contrary to the empirical knowledge. And obviously whenever there is an one aspect of particular topic, so there should be other aspect of also. So if it is an empirical aspect, it is a subjective aspect of it, right? And how Einstein says science without religion is nothing, right? So kind of a that thing you can also quote and you can also answer, and in between you will be writing about the different thinkers, the same approach you will be keeping, how you are trying to keep it, right? So this is the thing. Then what are the social determinants that is happening because of the economic development? Now this is a long question, so just basically you will be trying to write what how economic development depends upon the various social factors, right? Quote here, the best will be to quote here is the Weber, writing about like how his Protestantic and the spirit of capitalism shows that yes, the social factors and the relation of it in with regard to economic development, right? And what are the other factors, like suppose education is there, right? Urbanization is there, scientific theories and the advancement are there, demography is there, personal values are also there, secular or the concept of secularization is also there, right? So stratifications of caste, concepts of caste, class, right? So these are the subtopics, and based on that, you will be writing a brief descriptions of it, and then you will be quoting, like you will be addressing this with the thinkers, and you will be concluding it. That will be the basic approach, right? Then, what are the basic origins of religious beliefs in the pre-modern society? Right. Okay. Okay. One more question is there. This now. Education is an instrument. Okay. Sorry. Hmm. Education as an instrument of social control and social change. So, what is it asking about is basically how education plays an angle, or how education is important, right? And in order to mm, education and the relation of social change, basically, and it is critically examining. It is asking about critically examine it. So you'll be covering both the aspects of it, like how it is happening, and how this things in one way, okay, it is initiating the changes, it is making the things work, but on the other, it is also like how the elitist theories, and like Marx says like education is nothing but the factories where the labors are being made, right? Even the feminist approach, where they also criticize it, saying like it is nothing but an role, or it is I guess she was McRobbie, or Suli. They try to say, okay, it is nothing but it is trying to reproduce the reproduce the patriarchal culture in the society, right? So these are the aspects which you will be covering, right? So both the aspects, like the positive aspect of education and the changes, and the negative aspect of it, right? So what can be your subtopics, or what can be the subheadings of education and the social change, can be like it initiates the social change, equality, an aspect that comes with it, uniformity, right? Now give a contemporary examples also, like suppose how you would be seeing the debates on the burqa, right? How it is happening in India, and how it is happening in Iran, right? In one part of the country they are asking for the removal of it, on another part of it they are saying ki, like we want it in the schools, right? So put an argument, first put an question, and then try to put an argument that makes your answer more nice, and this argument should be substantiated by the thinkers. This will make it more approachable, right? So economic role, how it has changed the economical aspects of particular society. Then you can come up with even Indian thinkers also. You can come up like Ambedkar. You can write how he says like educate, agitate, and like organize, educate, agitate, right? So how he is trying to put the aspect of education in order to make the society upfront or upbring, right? So this is the thing. Parson also you can write like how he says like school in itself is basically a society, right? So in suppose in a family, what you try to understand is basically a particularist standards and values, but in a school you try to understand the universal values, because from different houses or different homes a particular individual comes carrying the different individual values and the norms. Now these individual values and the norms have been clubbed together in a whole school, so that in itself brings up or makes a whole big society, right? So this will be our approach, and in the end part of it you can conclude it, right? Next is explain the origins of social religious beliefs in pre-modern society. Now you need to understand it is asking about the pre-modern society, right? So what is religion, and then directly jumping to the what are the pre-modern society's religious beliefs, right? Totem and all that. So like suppose it was animism, monoism, pluralism, sect, and the cult. Define these arguments with thinkers and then try to conclude it. I guess this will make your answer full, and it will also help you in addressing the particular question that they are asking for. And try to use the contemporary examples and the contemporary theory that is happening in and around the society, right? So that will give a nice approach to you and nice understanding also. And you can also change, or you can add the different aspects of environmentalist sociology is there, feminist sociology is there, right? So what we do is like basically we try to just cover the conflict, Marxism, Weber interpreted, but we, in order to like address a particular question, we try to neglect the other thinkers, like suppose structural functionalist, right? The liberal sociological thinkers, the feminist sociological thinkers. So if at all you are answering those particular questions, you need to cover the different dimensions of that. So dimensions can only be covered when you are like going in different sections of it. How I said, feminist, Marxist, Weberian, and structural functionalist, right? So this in itself substantiate your answer, and you try to make it understanding by the examples. Put as much as many examples, and that will make your answer very nice and very good. So this is it, and uh, we are trying to start our we are not trying, but like we have started our test series basically for the sociology, for the OPSC, and we're going ahead with it. And this was the discussion for the previous year questions. It is open ended, and we'll be covering other and more descriptively when we will be trying to discuss in our test series also, because there we are giving the questions, we are trying to give a descriptive answers, and then we are trying to again give a video of how to approach it and what else you can write in it. So do join it. It will be a learning, and it will be a aspect like it will be helping you in the sociology. So this is it. Thank you so much.